Welcome back, Canada. Just wow. So I also for this one I grabbed Chris Johnston from Sportsnet, his roster for Canada because you could make three or four teams. You could, and so let's take a look through, and the ones that I'm projecting to be top six and top four and number one goalie are similar to his, but there's some differences. So Connor McDavid is the best player in the NHL. Spoiler alert. And Connor McDavid, the pressure will be on him the first time being at the Olympics representing Canada to get them to gold. Canada is the one country that anything other than gold is considered to be kind of unacceptable. Where there's going to be questions asked, where there's going to be accusations against the coach, the general manager, the players. There's always a lot of second guessing if Canada does not win the gold medal. And with this lineup, I get it. You've got Brad Marchand. You've got Mitch Marner. You've got Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid could make an amazing 1-2 punch down the middle, but there's a lot of centers on this team, right? So Mark Scheifele, Sidney Crosby, who was on the 2014 team, and of course he scored the golden goal in 2010, and so Crosby has to be on the team, and he kind of has to be top six, you would think. Mark Stone, who is a very good two-way forward, so he's probably going to play more of a defensive role on this team. Jonathan Huberdeau, I think, is worthy of top six consideration. We'll see how it goes. Because you've got David Perron. Doesn't appear here. You can make an argument for him. Ryan O'Reilly does not appear on the Chris Johnston list, and I think O'Reilly's going to make it. I think O'Reilly ends up on the team. But again, there are so many good players. There are so many options. It's kind of ridiculous. John Tavares, who was on the 2014 team. Patrice Bergeron, also from the 2014 team. Won't be the second time he's worn Canadian colors either. And so there is the possibility you stick Marchand and Bergeron together. And, you know, I understand they know each other pretty well. And on the penalty kill, they will play together. You would think that on the penalty kill, Bergeron Marchand will be asked to do exactly what they do for Boston on a regular basis. Braden Point, Matthew Barzal, Sean Couturier, excellent two-way forward. Bo Horvat, he should get some consideration. He has absolutely grown his game over the last couple of years. Ryan Nugent Hopkins, kind of a forgotten guy. Also, very good two-way forward, and he can play with Connor McDavid. So, again, while I think it's going to be less important for the Canadian team than for other countries to have guys that know each other, familiar with each other, playing together, because they're very gifted players, I don't think we can entirely rule that out. That a coach, when picking the team, might say, you know what? These guys know each other. There's some natural chemistry. This should be a line for the Olympics. Steven Stamkos, who was named to the 2014 team but was unable to play due to injury. So his spot on the roster was taken by Marty St. Louis. If he's unable to play this year due to injury, Marty St. Louis will not be replacing him. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Marty St. Louis will not play for Team Canada in 2022. Ryan Strohm, easy to kind of lose him in the mix of everything. All he does is score points. Tom Wilson I put up there because here's the thing. Here's the thing. He scores points. I know people don't like him. But wouldn't that be something if Team Canada had Tom Wilson there? I'm not saying he's going to get there, but I thought I'd put him on the board. Taylor Hall, if he has the kind of bounce-back season for Boston that we might expect after the way he played their post-trade deadline, maybe Hall pushes himself into the conversation, right? Philippe Denno, who, again, I don't see him on Chris Johnston's list, and I get that because he only had 5 goals last year, but he's so good at defensive zone faceoffs. He's so smart defensively. If you make a fourth line that is made up of guys who are strictly defensive-minded players, Denno should get some consideration. Alexis Lafreniere, if he takes that next step this year, he may get some consideration. Tyler Seguin, who only played 3 games last year, if he's back healthy and if he's 100%, that could get him into the conversation. And, Jonathan Toews, who played in 2014, didn't play last season, but if he is as healthy as rumors have it, Toews will be in the conversation as well. And others. There are a lot of players that I didn't put on the board. And we could see them in there. We could see Evander Kane on the team, as a for instance, just as one that I didn't include on the board. So then you get to the blue line, and it's ridiculous again, right? So you got Cale Makar, who I think is a lock for this team. Dougie Hamilton likely is as well. Shea Theodore, and Jacob Chychrun, who I think could very well push his way into top 4 consideration. And he's not on the team for Chris Johnston. Now, I think part of what we saw this past year will be... It's kind of a bit of a blind spot in that I think for most fans, they paid attention to their own division, the team they cheer for, the division they're in. He didn't have to watch games in other divisions. So I think familiarity with how good other players are, and Chychrun being an example, if you didn't watch Arizona, you'd have no idea. And since Arizona right now looks lost, it is easy to overlook Chychrun. I would not recommend that. Darnell Nurse is going to get consideration. Mackenzie Weegar had a fantastic season for Florida, should not be ruled out. Then you get to Morgan Riley from Toronto. You get to Drew Doughty, who, yes, Doughty's game is not what it was in 2014 when he was there last time, but he's still a very good defenseman, and he does have that experience. Samuel Girard out of Colorado. Again, I don't underestimate his ability to make the team. Devon Taves, same thing. Maybe we get both Taves, Devon and Jonathan. No relation to one another. Thomas Chabot out of Ottawa. Brent Burns. I understand that Burns is older. There are going to be complaints if he's named to the team, but not necessarily for me, because I think the offense is still there, and they need some experienced defensemen as well. Jake Muzzin, very good defensively. Jared Spurgeon, underrated defenseman. Justin Schultz. Alex Pietrangelo, who was on the 2014 team. Aaron Ekblad, who I think is underrated, and I'm saying he could end up being top 4. Mark Giordano could very well end up on the team as well. Josh Morrissey out of Winnipeg. Ryan Ellis and Ryan Pulock out of the New York Islanders. And Pulock is underrated. So you could have 3 or 4 defenses out of that, and they could all be awesome. You could make 3 or 4 defenses out of the Canadian players. And again, I did not include everybody that I was looking at. I just included the ones that I said, yeah, I guess, sure. The only one on the board that I'm saying I really think there's 0 chance he gets there, but is Tom Wilson. And that's if Wilson gets off to a really good start offensively, and if he keeps his nose clean, he will get at least a little bit of consideration in there. Now, the goaltending is where things get fascinating for me with Team Canada. Carey Price, likely the starter. Chris Johnston has him as the starter as well. And that's the expectation. But Mackenzie Blackwood is pretty good. Marc-Andre Fleury, right? Marc-Andre Fleury could very well be wearing Canadian colors and playing at the Olympics. And Jordan Binnington out of St. Louis can't be overruled either. This is a team that won gold in 2014. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players on the board that were on that team. There are a lot of other players who were on that team who are still in the National Hockey League, but they're not at this level. And it is quite the level to be at. I would expect nothing less than silver out of whatever team they put together here. But most of Canada, I think, will be expecting gold. And it should be fascinating. So Chris Johnston's picks, the way he's got the line set up, and acknowledging there are going to be more centers than there are spots. McKinnon, McDavid, and Marner on the first line. So the 3M line. There you go. 3 M's right there. That's a line that existed in NHL history. I know. That's already a thing. Marchand, Crosby, and Bergeron on the second line. He's got Huberdeau, Point, and Stone on the third. I would have Stone on the second line ahead of Bergeron. Just cuz. And then on the fourth line, Tavares, Couturier, and Stamkos. It just shows how ridiculously stacked they are. He has Scheifele as the 13th forward, and Barzal as the extra. On the blue line, Theodore and Pietrangelo as the first pairing. They play together in Vegas. Chabot and Makar as the second pairing. Riley and Hamilton as the third. Ekblad as the extra. And Bowen Byram he has as being the extra. I don't have Byram on the board because I don't think he's going to outperform or get on the radar ahead of a lot of the other guys on this board. And then in net, he has Price, Binnington, and he has Blackwood as the extra. I think Blackwood likely finishes ahead of Binnington in the running for that spot. But That also doesn't account for Marc-Andre Fleury and what he's going to be able to do. It could be amazing. Like, just think about it. You have a gold medal game between Sweden and Canada, and at one end of the ice you got Robin Lehner, and at the other end you've got Marc-Andre Fleury. Just as one example. So it should be a ton of fun. I do think that Team Canada is going to be beyond stacked. And there are going to be a lot of people who get cut from this team that fan bases will be upset about, because that's how that works. But my hope is that Team Canada picks the absolute best players and a nice mix of veterans and youngsters. If they pick too many veterans, they may end up being slower than some other teams that may make themselves more vulnerable. If they pick too many of the youngsters, of course, that lack of experience can come back to haunt you too. So it's getting that nice balance, but at least there are a ton of players that you can choose from. Just everybody. And I have an excuse to wear my Canucks hat that is a lot of fun, but when in the blue blazes am I going to wear this? So yeah, there you go. Let me know your picks for Team Canada, what kind of lines you think you're going to see out of this team, and how ridiculously good they can be. The one thing too is, do you go with a top 6 of offensive players and then a bottom 6 of guys who are shown to be bottom 6 capable? Maybe you don't pick the most offensively gifted guys. Maybe a Tavares gets cut, right? As an example, in favor of somebody who is known for being able to play those bottom 6 minutes. And we'll see how things go from there. It should be fascinating. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.